Then we go with Timothy Thatcher and Oney Lorcan. Besides, who named Oney Lorcan and why didn't someone stop them? It's not even the same television program. It's not the same product. It's not the same. We went from women's gymnastics to a goddamn pretty serviceable work mixed martial arts contest. It doesn't even. Maybe if they'd have put this on first, maybe they could have hooked some people while they billboarded their big matches later on, because at least it wasn't just gaga that you zone out on. They did a little modern type of Billy Robinson, Tony Charles stuff mixed with an old-fashioned, like an amateur match, when you had a guy in the territories that had an amateur background. And they do a little of this stuff. And this is what Eddie Graham used to say. It's good to have on the card. It gives credibility to the proceedings. Nothing insulting or silly. This is the last thing probably that the modern wrestling fans who like the, flips and the car wrecks would watch or understand or want to get into. And this is not a goddamn match that's supposed to tear the house down like a thrilling fucking grudge match. This is what you put on your show to give it a little credibility, to expose a couple of guys that look like athletes and fucking, sell wrestling. And you educate your fans to shit like this so that when the stuff that gets wild, this is what it's supposed to get wild from. If it's all wild, then none of it's wild and it never breaks loose. So they had a nice contest. Second part of the thing, second segment, they picked it up with the strikes and the throws. They were laying in their chops and forearms. It was nice to see Thatcher get a sugar hold. I was thinking about William Harding. Even though he didn't actually lock the sugar in all the way, though, to really fuck with somebody. But then he gets the Fujiwara armbar and Lorcan tapped. And it was a nice match. It never went into high gear with big dramatic bullshit back and forth. And that would kind of spoiled the flavor of what they were doing. They were trying to work a straight contest. So I have to give this one a bunch of points just for being a good, solid match and not embarrassing the business while that they got some of their talent exposed. It's not the match that the fucking kids and the clowns like, but it's fucking solid. And Mauro Ranallo got to do some good stuff here because he got to talk about Fujiwara and Robinson and a catch wrestling background. And Beth was actually good because they give her these fucking writer's notes where, if it's one of the fucking more cinematic efforts that the writers are doing, and she'll have to read something like, well, Derek Loomis or Dexter Loomis is certainly inside the brain of Roderick Strong and trying to drive him insane or whatever, all this bullshit. But here she could actually analyze fucking wrestling because she knows that shit. So she sounded good. This made everybody sound good and look good. It wasn't just a fucking joke car crash match that nobody was taking seriously or that just did shit for no reason. So, but boy, what a fucking departure from the first match. It's almost like now this show, remember we said NXT was always pretty consistent all the way through, and AEW was schizophrenic. They had a pretty fucking wide flux here. What'd you think of old Timothy Thatcher and Oney?
I really liked it.
Opie Lorcan.
No, it's Lonely Orca.
Lonely Orca.
No, I really liked it. This is now the second time. I've heard so much about Timothy Thatcher throughout the last few years, but I only really started watching him recently. That match with Matt Riddle, the fight cage or whatever they called it.
Yes, we liked that. We really liked that.
That was phenomenal. Pit. Yeah, and here's another match. I like him. I like his style. I hope it's somehow something that influences other people on that roster or people running that roster. Really good. On the topic of commentators.
And by the way, just since you brought that up, when they have matches like this and expose people to this style of trying to be a legitimate looking contest as much as possible and not putting all the bells and whistles on it, that's the kind of match that if you can get that over with Thatcher, it's not going to tear the house down on television every time. But if you have him have those matches with guys that can do them, then you build the fight pit as his specialty. And then you've got something, you've got a history behind the guy. He has a certain distinct style that he's better at than everybody else. And then, like Wahoo McDaniel bringing a strap match in. Then finally, Thatcher wants the fucking pit match to settle the thing. And that's how you educate people to shit. You don't just give them the car wreck right off the fucking bat. You let them watch people successfully drive cars first, and then you fucking make them pay for the wreck.
On the topic of commentators, I thought Morrow did a good job. I like Beth. Every time I hear Beth do commentary, I know that sometimes she's doing prepared material, but overall, I think she's really good. Tom Phillips, who's, otherwise known as generic Michael Cole #2, I didn't think he added much. I don't know why they feel that every announced team needs to be 3 people. I know he was the only guy on site, I guess. Morrow and Beth were doing it via remote.
Boy, I can't imagine doing that. I've never done a show where I was doing that. I've done pre-tape announcing, or you know what I'm saying. I've announced voiced over pre-taped matches. I've done live to tape. I've never done a show where one of my co-announcers was not sitting next to me. That's got to be weird.
It has to be weird, but I just thought he was unnecessary.
Well, 3 are too many, and if you got Morrow, for fuck's sake, just have somebody like Beth for color and contrast, and get the fuck out of the way. And I thought it was Michael Cole, actually, until I saw the on camera, because he sounds just like Michael Cole.
They talk the same as Michael Cole. They move their hands nonstop, like a mix between Michael Cole and Kenny Omega. All of these commentators that have come up during the Michael Cole era, by and large, they're fucking garbage.
Well, say what you really think.
Oh, I always do.
All right. Anyway,